Hi there, in this video I'm going to show you all the different ways that you could kind of wrap up a discussion as it's just finishing up to push for deeper metacognition and really highlight some of the discussion skills that you might be looking to model and draw attention to. So first, you might go through, and the first thing I like to do is actually just choose a model submission. So maybe you're going to choose one that has a really good structure. Maybe they brought up something interesting. Maybe the student got some really good feedback. In this case here with Emily Carr at the bottom, it seems that this response actually generated a lot of feedback. So below I could see there's been some good kind of like dialogue back and forth about the student's idea. So I might say,
this submission generated a lot of discussion. Well done, contributing interesting ideas.
And so that will now live at the top. And this is just a good way to kind of draw attention to some really interesting ideas that might have come up. Another thing is, of course, you could jump into the conversation yourself. So that's something that's interesting. I also like to throw up the summary page at the end of the discussion. If you're in a physical classroom, you can throw this up on the board and just draw attention to, did everybody actually submit an idea? How many people gave at least one feedback? You could ask some questions. Why is it important for people to give feedback, both from kind of like a writing perspective, but also from engaging with other people's ideas and helping them refine them? So we could draw attention to the importance there. And then receiving feedback. Why is it important for us to receive feedback on our ideas? And how can we use this type of activity to do that? When it comes to the comment length, how are we doing? Are we giving really short comments that don't really push the conversation further? Or are we actually engaging deeply with each other's ideas and writing long sentences that are descriptive and asking good questions there too? You'll also see that there are some questions as well that are built in. So you could pull this up on the board and actually ask everybody that too. So for example, how might we improve these numbers in the future? You can see those here. For the keyword cloud, I like to ask students, what jumps out here? What is surprising to you, either about all of this data, but specifically maybe about the specific questions and vocabulary? You might ask, why do we think that word was more popular? Did you expect another word to be more popular than that? We could also click and see, how many times did competition come up? So we can see Maria Mitchell and Diane Fossey here. They both mentioned competition. You can edit these words too. For example, if I wanted to remove Olympics, I could do that just to make it a cleaner demonstration here. The last one that you might ask is how can we become more sophisticated? A lot of times we see people come up. Is there a better word or a more descriptive word we could use there? I don't know, rules. Is that the accurate word? We can think about that, especially when we get into English class. And then lastly, we could see the comment chord, which is going to summarize all of the kind of relationships. So you can ask students, do you see any patterns here? Who's been driving the conversation the most? Are there any kind of back and forth conversations that are happening? So it's just a good way for them to reflect across the group what their participation looks like there. I will say is if you hover over these on the teacher view, it's going to show the real names. So just be mindful of that if you're sharing this on the board. It might be a little obvious who's who. Students might be able to figure out who's who, whereas on the student view, this is anonymous still. So those are some things that you could do to kind of push the conversation further and reflect. The last thing I'll say is if these numbers are a little low, you might say, hey, everybody, go back and give at least one comment, ask one question. You can challenge someone respectfully, and then we can have this kind of be more impactful. We'll have more refined ideas if we do that. So those are just some ideas. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Lastly, I would say is you could just ask students, what was the most interesting thing about the conversation? What was the most interesting idea that came up? And so usually you get some fascinating little comments and hopefully some buy-in for students to really take ownership of the conversation and take it seriously for future conversations too.